Continuamos con la DC FANDOME. Ahora sí, vamos con el panel de la serie de Flash. Vamos a ver el panel de la serie Flash. Un trailer de un resumen de todas las temporadas según la evolución de Flash durante 6 temporadas ahora.
Welcome to DC FANDOME. I'm Chancellor Agard from Entertainment Weekly, and this is the Flash channel. Joining me today, we have Grant Gustin, who plays the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, aka Barry Allen. Candace Patton, who plays reporter extraordinaire Iris West Allen. Hannah Baker, who pulls double duty as both Caitlin Snow and Frost. Carlos Valdez, who plays the ever-quotable mechanical engineer, Cisco Ramon. Daniel Nicolay, who plays meta attorney Lucille Horton. Brandon McKnight, who plays enthusiastic scientist Esther P. Runk. Ayla Compton, who plays Central City citizen intern Allegra Garcia. Also, we have showrunner and executive producer Eric Wallace. Hi, guys. Hi. Before we talk about season 7, I think it was a really unique year for the show because Eric, you came to the season. You look at the season to 2 parts. Looking back on it now, how do you feel that was? How did that?
I thought it was really successful. It gave new energy, I think, to the season. In the first half with Bloodward, we were able to really drill down on Barry's story and on dealing with crisis. Vice versa, in the back half, we're able to really drill into Iris's character as Citizen and Eva's story. And then we'll see at the top of season 7 how it all comes together.
And for the cast, especially the ones that been here season 1, in the moment, did you feel something different about the show and how it's structured?
I loved it. I'm really glad that we got to, give the opportunity to really flesh out those villains a little bit more and not spread them out so much that you feel like you're sort of filling in episodes to get to the
show needs to change.
I think as an actor too, it prevents fatigue throughout the season. 22 episodes is a long time, 9 months, and I think for us having this kind of break in the season where a new sort of storyline emerges kind of puts us in a headspace of feeling reinvigorated with the work. So yeah, it was this season a bit easier to swallow altogether.
As Eric mentioned, the first half of the season was very much about sort of Barry's walk up the cycle and him dealing with his mortality.
Feel or not, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, I'm concerned, am I? Not as much as you're inevitable surprise in a coming crisis. But you really are full of surprises, aren't you? So tell me, when you saw all those permutations, billions of possible futures all ending in your day, what drove the back game?
Grant, for you, what was it like
Siento un resumen de la sexta temporada, la primera parte de la sexta temporada, de lo que quedó de la sexta temporada.
Since we finished it, but that was a really special episode to me, and I think it really was a good episode to show just kind of the culmination of all of his emotions and the conflict kind of boiling over. I just felt really lucky with all the material they gave me in the last adaptation of Barry Allen, especially in part 1. It was different than anything I think we've done and anything I've done on the show, and I had a great time with it.
Did you find that episode particularly challenging?
Oh yeah, and it was a special episode, but it was definitely super challenging. But visually, I thought they did a great job. Everyone was really proud of it. It was tough, but it was fun.
And on the flip side, he does a lot more into Iris as a journalist. For you, Candace, what was it like to sort of explore that side of Iris in more detail?
It was a long time coming. I think we kind of teased Iris being this ace reporter since season 1. It's always kind of been put on the back burner, so it was a nice treat to finally have it be at the forefront of her character arc for the season. It's such a male-dominated cast. I love these guys, but having more women and having this kind of Charlie's Angels sort of, you know, reporter team, it was really cool. It brought a new energy to the show, and I hope we carry on with that in the next season.
I do want to dig more into that, because a couple fans had some team citizen questions that we'll get to towards the end. In the season, I guess, did you feel like you discovered something new about Iris through this material?
She had this conversation with Barry as Mirror Iris, but I think it's very indicative of how real Iris truly feels, which is that, you know, she can't always be, you know, the victim, and she's not always looking to be saved, and that she has to go out there and kind of have her own agency and do her own thing. And I think it was, you know, words that came from Mirror Iris, but it's very true of real Iris needing to have her own agency and her own life and her own mission. And so that to me was kind of the spark of Iris kind of taking over her own life and, you know, still loving Barry and still wanting this deep, meaningful relationship, but kind of separating it away and saying, I have to do my own thing. I have to chase after villains. I have to chase after stories, no matter how dangerous it is. You put your life on the line to protect your city. And so I feel like I should have the right to do that as well. Superpowers or without. I was following a lead. So, yeah.
Following a lead in the middle of the night? I mean, something could have happened to you.
That right there, that's why I didn't tell you. I don't need you to save me. I can handle myself.
How did you sort of make sense or separate in your mind Iris and Mirror Iris when you were playing them?
Iris and Mirror Iris, we wanted it to feel like we didn't know who was who. We wanted the audience to believe that Iris and Mirror Iris were almost identical. And as the season kind of progressed, we see these kind of chipping away of Mirror Iris becoming more and more sinister and evil and kind of being taken over more and more from Eva. So a lot of it came in the script of just letting the scripts progress and letting Mirror Iris become more and more sinister.
That's episode 611, Love the Battlefield, in which Iris gets to break a bottle over a dude's head. How awesome was that?
Fun, yeah.
It was super fun.
I mean, that really culminated in the Barry versus Mirror Iris fight, something we've never seen those two characters do, or in a situation like that with each other. When you guys first joined the show, did you guys ever think that you'd get to do something, do like a fight scene like that together?
I just assumed I'd always play this kind of, you know, straight edge reporter. And so for me to ever get powers and then to have a dual personality and get to fight, I mean, it's all dream comes true kind of stuff. You know, for 6 years, I think any actor is always looking for variety.
And on the subject of new things, I mean, this season we got 2 new characters with Chester and Kayla, and we have 2 now series regulars coming into season 7. How was your experience sort of coming into a show that sort of seasons in and sort of finding your way through it?
I was intimidated for sure. I knew these guys were a family, and I was nervous. I think it was Annie was one of the first people that made me feel so welcome. We were shooting a scene, and it was really hot, and she just took me under her wing instantly. And I remember she was like, "Do you want to take a picture?" And I was like, "Do I want to take a picture with you?" Yes. And I had the courage to like ask other people to take pictures because she had like made me feel so welcome instantly. So that transition was really lovely for me.
I was a big fan. I am a big fan of the show, and I watched the show. The Flash is my little sister's favorite superhero, so we watched the show since season 1. So I came in already like understanding what the show was about, like what the show's tone was, stuff like that. For me, it was more so just meeting everybody and getting into the same vibe that everybody else, because you know everybody had 5-6 years to really learn about each other and learn how everybody works together you know, I was just trying to find my spot and my place without interrupting or changing too much.
And Brenda, I know in the past, Eric has talked about sort of how with Chester, he views Chester, it's sort of like him, and sort of do that, you know, science and all that. I'm curious, one, what conversations did you have with Eric about sort of crafting this performance of Chester? Two, did you base any of it on Eric himself?
I remember the first day on set, I met Eric, and it's funny, the first episode 601, the first maybe 3 or 4 days, I was pretty much just in a coma the entire time. So I was just laying on a bench or sitting at a table and stuff like that. And I remember him telling me, because I had the monologue coming up when I'm in my garage and I'm doing the stream. And I remember him just telling me, this guy's brain works faster than his mouth. He can't speak as quickly as he thinks. So every time he has a thought, he's going to another place, and then he has another thought. He's excited about all the thoughts that he's having. So those are like that. I remember that specifically because I remember going into it being like, I don't know how much energy this guy has. He's written with a lot of energy. He's written to be really zany and really crazy and really fun, but I don't know how big I'm allowed to go, blah, blah, blah. So Eric really showed me that, you know, you can go as big as you want to go. If it's too much, they'll take it down.
I'll never forget the first time I saw Brandon work, because Danielle was directing, so I came by set to see how it was going. And they were shooting the montage of, like, you had just woken up and you were like, yeah, exploring Stargirl, checking all the equipment. And I don't think I'd even met you yet. I was looking at you on the monitor.
Yeah, that was the first thing we met,
Yeah, I mean, I think I came in and said something to you, because I said to Danielle, like, this dude is incredible. Like, you were doing things that, you know, I wish I could get to do on the show, and I certainly wouldn't be able to do them the way that you can do them. So I was super impressed.
It was so fun. I mean, I remember that scene too, that sequence. I had such a good time, and I feel like we shot a lot more than ultimately ended up in the episode. But we were just having such a good time with it. But I also remember in 601, we saw your monologue. I think it was certainly before I'd had any scenes with you. And I feel like we watched your monologue, and we all looked at each other and were like, oh, he's great. Like, so really came into the show with a lot of love.
Hey, what up, party people? Welcome to a world where all are welcome, and anything, including the scientifically impossible, can and probably will happen. I'm your boy, Chester, with knowledge from the bleeding edge of physics and beyond. Halo, it was Allegra. I'm curious about coming into the show. I mean, how did you sort of connect with your character, and what, in what ways did you relate to her?
The way I look at Allegra is that she just wants to fit in and belong somewhere, and I just super resonate with that. Family is really important to me. My friendships are really important to me, and belonging to something or having a community is just really important to me. So that was one of the first things that I connected with Allegra. She just wants a family. She wants to belong, and she hasn't had that previously. And so I super resonate with her on that level.
For you, I guess
you're in the Flash family. Yeah.
I mean, with the character, did you feel like you sort of really clicked in with her immediately, sort of on day one, or was there sort of a process for you to sort of figure your way through that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned more about her with every episode. I also, my first episode, I didn't know if there was going to be more episodes for me, and so that was all I had, and so I just really gave that my everything. And in that first episode, you learn a little bit about her history and criminal background. And so that I didn't necessarily immediately get on with, but as I've done more episodes, I've learned a lot more about her and loved her more, connected with her more.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about your directorial debut, and I'm curious. I feel like you've spoken a lot about how sort of acting has informed you as a director. I'm curious, after directing 2 episodes of the show, how has that sort of formed how you approach your role as an actor on the show, both as Caitlin and Ross?
I feel like part of the reason I love directing so much is because I've always tried to, be on set with my eyes wide open and look at all the different departments and learn as much as I can. So I definitely feel like it's informed. You're right, I do feel like the directing's informed my acting, but hopefully my acting informs my directing too. All, those years of experience and spending time on set. I love it. I'm excited to get back to it.
And But this season 6 was all about sort of Frost finding herself or finding a way to craft a life for herself. So what was it like to explore that journey with this character in season 6?
It was great. It was really
Hago un
fun to
resumen de lo que fue la
a real
sexta
character
temporada
and a
de cada
person,
personaje,
a
¿no?
human being with feelings
Ahí.
and emotions, and not just necessarily this person who, you know, pops up for a fight and then disappears and we don't really know her perspective on things. So it was really fun to get to dig in and flesh that out and have a little bit of fun with it. You know, like Candace was saying earlier, it's nice to have the variety after, you know, 6 seasons and 100, and I mean, we're rapidly approaching 150 episodes.
For you, I mean, what do you think is sort of the next step for Frost in her sort of development?
I'm excited because it sounds like Killer Frost is going to go on a date soon, and I'm really excited.
Oh, una
Not
cita,
my house.
una cita,
Do we
la
think she
próxima, una
has the best
cita, qué
table
loco.
manners? Probably.
And Danny, I mean, again, on the subject of change, this season for Cecile, she sort of decides to become a meta attorney for meta humans. For you, what has it been like to see this character evolve from when she was initially introduced to where she is now?
You know, she went from being a regular person to having powers, but then those powers evolving, and they continue to evolve every season. So it's fun for me because every time I get to explore where it's going. And since I joined the show a couple seasons after it started, I always sort of felt like coming into it, my job was to figure out how I can be whatever puzzle piece is missing. Everyone else on the show is already so amazing, and their characters are so well fleshed out that I'm always trying to figure out where Cecile fits and where she can support the team and where she can support the show in its entirety. So it's a blast for me because I got to be a regular person, I got to be a telepath, and I got to be an empath, and then now I am a meta defense attorney. And then, from what I understand, there's going to be some shifts next season too.
In shooting those scenes where her empath powers have come into play, how do you sort of go through that as the actor? Do you like sort of imagine like the sounds that like we eventually hear on TV, or how do you?
It was a little hard to kind of wrap my head around at the beginning. I think it's hard for anyone to play powers, whether they're coming out of their hands or they're inside or somewhere in the middle. I think just as an actor, you have to go back to basics and believe where you're at and completely invest in your character's reality. And that's her reality. And so I try to really just believe what's on the page, what's written for me, and play it exactly that way.
Is there something that you're hoping to do that you haven't gotten a chance to do on the show yet?
I have always, this is not news to anybody, Eric will not be surprised, I have wanted Cecile to be bad, just a little bit bad, forever, but just a little bit, because she's so good. I would have a lot of fun playing like bad Cecile. I've offered many times to switch powers with Killer Frost just for an episode, but unfortunately, Eric does not believe me to be as good of a writer as I am an actor. So he continues to not buy my pitches.
But I listen. I am listening. Listening. I feel you. You never know. You never know.
And Carlos, I mean, this season 5 ended with him giving up his powers, and this season was very much about him figuring out what his role on the team was without those powers. After 5 seasons of Cisco 5, what was it like for you to explore this new Cisco in a new place like this?
I don't think he regrets that decision, but I think it definitely haunts him. I'm actually feeling a lot like Cisco these days because, like, you know, I'll have a fan that I'll, like, see on the street or whatever. They'll be like, yo, but 5 though. Come on. I have to imagine Cisco's probably. I know. Okay, but you know, it was such a big decision for him. I feel like the ripple effect, you know, the repercussions for them, you know, Cisco's sense of identity, you know, we're still seeing those wins. We continue to see those wins until season 7. So I'm just, you know, riding the wave.
The beginning season 6 actually had an episode called Cisco Street Freeze, which is Cisco centric, and included on the DVD set coming out in August is a black and white version of that episode, and we have a clip from that episode. So let's check it out.
murdered my daughter.
No, I didn't do it.
I swear! Liar!
Leave me! Leave him alone!
Where did you get that?
In Cisco's workshop. I don't know how it got there.
I do. He just murdered my daughter with it.
Preacher, I don't care what you think you saw, okay? You know Cisco. You know how much you cared about it. There's got to be another explanation.
Babe, please.
No, what about doppelgangers?
She's right. There's thousands of other versions of me out there.
Yeah, they're all pencil pushers. None of them are scientists like you. You have motive, just enough guts to do this.
Preacher, I swear, I don't know how this is possible.
Unless it breeds psychosis.
What time did you find me sleepwalking the other night?
I don't know. Maybe 4 a.m.
Oh, no! You're guilty! But you're not in your right mind. I didn't just lose a daughter to death. I lost a son. Because you still respect the man you were. Now, I'm going to give you an hour to get all your affairs in order and then turn yourself in. I will end you.
Un fragmento de un episodio en blanco y negro de Kiss Bridge. Vamos a ver qué se verá en esta
Wow.
temporada.
Pretty cool.
Very cool. Eric, what was it? What is the release of black and white version of this episode?
Well, it's a film noir story, and I always wanted it to be black and white. What was really great in making the episode with the director Manoj Huda, he had an idea. He knew I wanted it to be in black and white. He said, well, why don't we do the vibes in black and white? And it's something that Carlos had always talked about, is how you could do vibes differently and how unique that could be as a directorial challenge. And Carlos was saying how even way back in season 1, that was something they needed to figure out. Well, when Minaj did that, we cut it into the episode. It dawned on me, oh, we can have a special edition of this that achieves this vision of an entire film noir story, all in black and white. Danny Trejo in black and white. How awesome is that?
Carlos, for you, I mean, that episode was so Cisco-centric about him dealing with Gypsy's death. What was it like leading the A-plot?
So gratifying to my budding narcissism. You know, getting to work with Danny is always like such a pleasure. And also getting to like really sort of navigate the relationship with Camilla too. I felt like at that point, like, you know, the relationship was progressing and it needed to like, you know, reach a major crucible or something. And I think that episode definitely did that. And it was a perfect way to like sort of demonstrate how these two are compatible. So yeah, it was very gratifying.
And the last time we saw Cisco in the season, he was heading off to Atlantis. I'm curious, in your mind, have you sort of thought about what Cisco does, what someone does in Atlantis when they visit?
I just like, you know, chatted up with dolphins and stuff. Like definitely, you know, probably some you know, Aquaman action in there somewhere. You know, I hope Cisco comes back from Atlantis soon, because Atlantis does not pay as well.
On that note, we also have a sizzle reel for what's to come in season 7. When we last left off in 6, Eva McCullough had gotten what she wanted, and she saved Sue. And the sizzle will sort of see what's to come when the show returns. So let's check out that clip.
How do you, Michael? Company. It's all fine. Just your speed. You're not much of a threat, are you? You just stay out of my way, Flash.
Iris is my wife. I have to save her.
What are you? I am a product of your broken mind.
Well, let's see, not for every 2 hours. I need your help to build an artificial speed force. That's how I can get my speed back.
I was an empath too, only I never held back. Imagine what you would become if you weren't so afraid. This time and no one is coming to save you. Not your friend, not your husband. There's only two options in this space: survival or madness. Can it be all? Can it be all? You lied. Yeah, I lied.
Oh, crap. There's a supersonic jet about to crash over the city. The flash isn't fast enough to stop it.
Eva can live anywhere, through any mirror in the universe, in the blink of an eye. She's faster than I am, and somehow I'm supposed to stop her?
I have unfinished business and a whole world to liberate.
We need a plan.
We've all lost so much this year. Some things can't be taken. We still have our will to fight for those we love.
Keep watching, keep trying to break me, because I'm not afraid of the woman that I am today. But you are, Eva.
Team Flash needs as many hands on deck as possible. Without that,
We go save Iris and our friends.
get everybody back.
Eric, can you talk about what we're seeing there?
When we had the shutdown happen, as unfortunate as it was, we were on the last day of filming for what would have been the 20th episode of last season, which now will become partially the first episode of season 7. So we did have 85% of the footage that we were able to use, plus also we knew where we were going already in season 7. So even though it's only footage really from one episode, pay attention to the way it's presented. It's actually huge spoilers all over the place.
And that sizzle had a lot of Iris in it, a lot of Iris in the Mirrorverse. Candace, I mean, can you sort of, in your mind, I guess, how do you think the first time the Mirrorverse has sort of affected her?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see when she comes out, and I believe she will come out very soon when we pick up season 7. It'll be very interesting to see how she's been affected by being kind of stuck in this maddening world with this super villain. Obviously, Team Flash and Barry were working to get her. It took a while. I don't know if there's some resentment there or what's going on, or if there's even some like residual mental effect of being in that mirror world and seeing things backwards and how that affects her. I have no idea. That's kind of up to Eric.
And Danny, the sizzle also showed that there's more to come in the way of Cecile's powers. What can you share about that?
I think that it's fair to say Cecile's powers up to this point have been passive. And I think going forward, we're going to see them evolving into something that's more active. We're going to find Cecile exploring that and maybe struggling with it a little bit and finding her way with it. And possibly getting herself into some trouble in the meantime.
Definitely.
Chester becomes even more integral to Team Flash as those people are sort of coming back together. What can you say about Chester's sort of the role that Chester will fulfill on Team Flash?
What Chester's real superpower is his optimism.
Nash currently has sort of all of the wealth from the old multiverse in his mind. I guess in season 7, how will the way in which Wells is used change for the show?
Radically, but super fun, and you're not going to see it coming. I love the Allegra and Nashville's relationship so much. It was one of the joys when the dailies would come back and I would see these two wonderful actors kind of getting to know each other from early on, and then exorcism of Nash Wells, learning why they kind of have this relationship. So there'll be more of that.
Previews show that sort of Barry is sort of working as hard as he can to get his powers back, get his speed back. I mean, do you think Barry has enjoyed any part of not having his speed at this point, or do you think he really does really misses it? I guess.
Yeah, no, I think he really just misses it. I don't think, especially with Iris being trapped in the Mirrorverse at the moment, and then Eva being a factor, I don't think any part of him has been like, well, I guess I'll just enjoy this downtime while I can. I think he genuinely not just wants his powers back, but he feels that he needs them back, and he's also starting to feel that they define him, and what is he without them. Yeah, I mean, it's taking a toll on it just mentally.
Big bad for season 7, Eric. What can you tease about who these new, or who I guess at least the first one, who they will be, and what and how they will challenge Team Flash in a new way?
Wow. I don't like spoilers. Let's just say there was a certain speedster who wore a white costume whose clones kept showing up really, Team Flash had to deal with that, but we never caught the real guy or girl. Let's just say we might find out that mystery this season.
Without spoiling it for you, what makes Godspeed an interesting villain for you? Just on, I guess, without getting into the show, but you would have like coming to season, what was it about Godspeed? You're like, oh, there's something there for that.
Two things. One, the current run of the comics that Joshua is writing is terrific, and I want to make sure that new fans, especially new young fans who are reading the comic book right now, are welcomed to the show. So it's not just Silver Age villains and Bronze Age villains. There might be a young girl or a young boy who is reading those Flash comics right now and going, where's my villain, my generation's villain?
Who is this guy anyway?
An old family friend. His name's Godspeed. He's from the future.
I want that same experience for a young person now to go, well, my villain is Godspeed. He's only 8 years, he's only been around for 5 or 8 years or so. So bringing him in is very important to me to expand the audience. That's number one. Two, Godspeed, unlike, say, Reverse Flash, has no emotional connection, supposedly, right, to the Flash. So the question is, why is Godspeed angry at the Flash? We've got to keep the show fresh. We've got more to say.
In light of everything that's happened recently, we have two characters on the show, Barry and Joe, who work for the police department. And have you sort of thought about how you're going to approach their jobs in this coming season, and maybe change or maybe not?
The world right now is on fire. We have to look at what's around us. It definitely informs specifically Joe's story this season, but in a good way and in a positive way, because we need to be socially responsible as artists. Yes, I love comic books and the Flash, but I'm a person first. We have to be people first and work together to make the world a better place. I believe that. That's where those changes are coming from. So yeah, you'll notice some changes, definitely.
And with that, let's move on to some fan questions.
Hi, I'm Sammy, and this is my question. How is Nash Falls going to adjust with all of the new Harrisons in his mind?
What's it like having a million wells in your head? You're going to find out real fast.
For Grant, which from all over the world wanted to know this, when will we get to see the Flash in the iconic gold suit?
This might be a question for me, but really it's for Eric, because I don't know if this is sanctioned, but if it were up to me, it would have been like 2 seasons ago. So Eric's going to have to answer this one.
Yeah, Grant and I have talked extensively about this. Record. I love gold boots too, right? I just think they must be bad, right? So it's like, when's the right time to unleash them? I think a story is the best way to unleash them. So I'm determined to get you your gold boots, Grant. I promise. I just can't say when, but it will happen.
Christmas is always a good time to give gifts.
And from South Africa, the super question. First, as the leader of Team Citizen, how will we see Team Citizen evolve once the show returns?
I don't know. That's more of a question for Eric.
Yes, you'll see much more of Team Citizen. Got a chance to talk about right now, but it's terrible, but it's true. It's true. But they've got a lot of fallout because the leader of Team Citizen is in the Mirrorverse. So what's been going on with Team Citizen while she's been they need to start today.
And the second part of that question, can we expect to see more of the mentorship relationship between Iris and Allegra and more of the Team Citizen also?
I hope so. I would expect so. I think if we're going to be spending a lot of work time together, I think it's only natural to women to have an evolving relationship. And I think we've already kind of seen that grow in season 6. And I hope there's more of that in season 7. I think it's a great opportunity for really beautiful female relationships and friendships. What could need our attention from them?
Your cousin is a victim of Allegra, and now some secret organization is using her. I mean, how many others? We need to help them. Right. I mean, no one wants to find out what happened at Brown's apartment, but is this really
echo that. I echo that. I'm really looking forward to that. And I think it's got to happen, right? Especially as we've expanded Candace's story, Iris' story. I think this is the first time Iris has ever had someone come under her, right? So it's a really good opportunity for the new stuff.
Last season, we got to see some romantic moments between Barry and Iris, even though it was Mirror Iris. Will we get to see more of that with the real Iris this season? This question comes from Jimmy.
Iris will be getting out of the Mirrorverse shortly after we return with season 7. So, regardless of what exactly that's going to entail, we're going to see them together a lot more next year than we did last year.
They will find their way back to each other eventually. A lot of the romance and the chemistry between Brett and I has always been something even people that get to the way we look at each other and the way the characters are written.
And Grant, this one's for you. You have some amazing Flash fan art and cosplay to show you.
Okay, guys, right now I'm looking at a cosplay fan art of Vladimir Morisot. I hope I'm saying that right. It's from California. And this thing is epic. Honestly, he's got a better superhero pose than I think I've ever had for a Flash photo shoot. So I could learn a thing or two from Vladimir, I think. All right, I love this one by Shannon Beltran from the UK. It's me and my Bali, Keenan Lonsdale. I love this moment when we were reunited and we did our fist bump. I think it was scripted as a fist bump, which we were happy to do, but then we were like, I'm hugging Keenan. This is awesome. Good job, Shannon. Hamlet Roman from Colombia. Awesome image of Barry, myself as Barry, running up a building, and the season 2 suit, I believe, season 2, season 3. This thing is really cool. God, you guys are talented.
Well, that'll do it for us today. Thank you all for joining me for this panel. I had a really good time. For everyone watching, please make sure you tune into The Flash when it returns in 2021. And again, remember that the Flash, the complete 6th season, is available now on digital and comes out on Blu-ray and DVD on August 25th.
Una de dos, el panel de la Dash. Vale. No la esperaba, pero vamos a arrancar ahora con el panel de Titans.
I'm so excited to welcome you to DC FANDOME, and you are watching the Titans panel. Titans are back, bitches! Let's introduce all of you along the way. We've got executive producer Greg Walker, Brendan Thwaites, who plays Dick Grayson, Tegan Croft, who plays Rachel, Anna Jope, who plays Corey Anders, Ryan Connor, who plays Gar Logan, Alan Richardson, who plays Hank Hall, Minka Kelly, who plays John Granger, our new guy, Joshua Orphan, who plays Connor, and Connor Leslie, who plays Donna, and then Curran Walters, who plays Jason Todd, and Damaris Lewis, who's coming in as Blackfire. Greg, when you got your hands on this property, what was your first idea to do with it? Because in the comic books, it can be a little lighthearted.
The idea was take, the pros.
Terminamos con el panel de Flash, ahora estamos con el panel de Titans.
25, 30 years
Vamos a ver qué hay de nuevo acá.
And the world has changed, and we wanted to put this in a real psychologically and emotionally grounded universe.
You guys got like the thumbs up from Mark Wolfman.
He's been in the writer's room too. It's been amazing. He comes around and we'll hang out and talk about what it was like to write books. He loves the show. He watches every episode. They're still close with Jeff Johns, so we get the feedback from him. It's really happy.
We've got a list of some fan favorite moments. We're going to kick off with my choice because I'm the moderator and I get to say that. So there's so many that I wanted to pick because there's so many great moments along with these first 2 seasons. But the one I went with was Dawn taking down the meth lab in the 2nd episode of season 2. Because I love this because it's so dark, it's so much shadows and just outlines, and then there's this humor, and it has this great fun at the end. But my favorite thing about it is that Dawn is probably the least like her superhero character. Like outside of the uniform, she's mild and she's measured and she's got this soft way about it. Like I kind of want her to become like the team therapist
because she seems to like really get it. Like she understands what's going on here. So let's look at this shot, this sequence from the episode Rose.
Ah, esto fue durante la primera temporada, ¿no? Creo.
Please don't kill me. Where's your phone?
There's a lab at 2751 Holster Lane. It's being run by
3 complete.
three complete dips. So you better have someone come down and arrest us. Thank you for your time.
Your mother would be very proud. I have to. Stuntable really does all the work when it comes to having to navigate those wings, because they sort of take on a life of their own. Like the weight of them just takes you, so you really have to learn how to move with them when you're throwing yourself around. It's a fun challenge.
The first fan clip that everyone kind of like came to was this was a big one because I don't think anyone expected to see this so early in the show. It's Donna breaking out the lesser for the first time. Stop hurting her! Look! Corey! Corey, what are you doing? Stop!
Heck yeah.
I love the Corey and Donna friendship. It was something I remember reading about when I started doing some research. And so when I read that like they start off kind of rocky, I wasn't even mad at it because I knew that it would turn into this great friendship, and we kind of got a taste of that in season 2. So I kind of love that their friendship grew from this initial moment where they like butt heads, but I think they're pretty similar in a lot of ways.
Don't all great friendships start out with a lasso around the neck? And
A little bit, yeah. But they all start off with like really kick-ass women.
yeah.
Really? Can resist.
All right, let's look at clip 2. This is also one of my favorites because it has a humor to it that I don't think you were writing to, or maybe you had it there. But there is it is when Dick found out that Jason got to drive the Batmobile, and this is I think it perfectly sets up that original dynamic between these two of like the big brother and like the annoying stepbrother. So let's run that scene from episode 6, Jason Todd.
Why are you doing this? Why do you even want to be robbed? Are you kidding? This is the dopest gig ever. Hanging out with Batman, kicking bad guys' asses, being famous, driving the goddamn Batmobile. He lets you drive the Batmobile. Wouldn't you rather have your own name? Like Sparrow or Blue Jay or Jason? The whole point is being Robin. Batman needs Robin. Why do you think it makes us wear those lame colors? Because we're drawing fire. Look up here! The Batman starts trashing us.
I think that scene describes it perfectly. There's like you said, the brother-stepbrother relationship. You know, in the build between them over the season. And see, season 2 even showed more. So I think that was probably the best scene that shows the relationship for sure.
You know, with dialogue like the Batman and stuff, trashing ass, you naturally hate the person that it's very easy to act like you're annoyed. And Corin does that so well with such a playfulness. It's very easy to connect with. I think the Dick is, he's annoyed by that. He's frustrated by this kid, but essentially takes on the role of mentor and tries to inspire him to be, to believe in the same things that he does and to fight crime in the way that Dick is learning to fight crime. And ultimately, he fails in connecting with him. And that scene at the end of season 2 on the rooftop is kind of an example of Dick putting aside his problems and offering to open up that channel and kind of put it on the table is, I'll help you and be a mentor. And I think it's a nice conflict to have with Dick, because that's the reason why he left Batman. Bruce failed as a mentor and as a guide. And a lot of emotional trauma kind of comes from that with Dick, and essentially he's doing the same thing. So I think deep down it's that, it's trying to be that father figure for Jason, but also, dealing with the same kind of frustration and challenges that Bruce dealt with when dealing with him. You need your leadership, Jason. You need to set the tone. I'm not robbing him. Yeah.
The next clip is quintessential Jason. So I'm not even going to set it up, so I'm sure you guys know what it is. But let's roll this clip from season 2, episode 1.
All we know is that whatever the cause of the phenomenon, it appears to have been evaded by a group of masked heroes. So, apart from some dead birds, we seem to bring the back, bitches! Woo!
Incredible. What you get?
That what you like? Admit it.
Never gonna happen.
What's hard about these scenes for me, especially, I always love when it's Kurt and I can see in real life the most infectious, vivacious, effervescent soul I've ever met.
Veamos, ahorita estamos hablando de resumen de los favoritos, los clips favoritos acá, y creo que vendría el panel de Superman Live y terminaría la transmisión con Stargirl. Si me da tiempo hoy, bueno, no creo, pero me gustaría poner algo de las películas del DC, pero no hoy, no será hoy. No será hoy. Hoy es series, mañana películas.
Hey! Shut up! Stop that! What are you doing? What? You stop that! Stand down! God damn it! I said stand down! Freeze! Subject target firing.
¡Oh, oh, oh, oh! trato de acordar estas escenas de Titans cuando
I mean, let's be
llegó
real,
con
like, Crypto is the MVP of that scene, and probably of the episode, so whenever you're in a scene with him, like, nothing can go wrong then.
Josh has become also the unofficial assistant dog trainer. So Josh has dog treats in his hand all the time. That dog listens to Josh more than he listens to the trainer.
Shout out to Stefan, the stunt guy who did it, but he was rigged to this thing that like pulled him through a fake wall, and it took like 4 hours to set up. We had one that didn't go quite right, and we had to reset the wall. We got a new wall and did it again, and it ended up taking like the whole day pretty much to get that one shot. But yeah, worth it for sure.
And you and Brent also had an awesome scene near the end of the finale, actually.
Yeah, it was great. We had that iconic flying scene where we could kind of have our cake and eat it too. So they're flying in Titans, except in my mind. Yeah, no, it was good. We had some great moments there with Dick and Connor. I'm hoping there'll be a few more.
Okay, and then the last clip that we have is this was a big deal for the people that were watching the first season. It was really the first time we got to see the team working together. It is not 100% successful of a team up, but that's Titans. So let's roll the clip from episode 5 together.
Get behind me. Time to burn. Nice. You should put your toys away. Finish with that. I'll say I'm so happy to see that this scene was voted on by the fans. It was so hard to film. I don't know if you guys remember, but we were filming in what we
hotel like 6 times.
Yeah, what we were lovingly calling the struggle motel in the middle of the night, and it was freezing. We went there so many times, and yeah, so I'm really glad to see that you responded.
It was super exciting for me because I'd worked with everybody individually and I love everybody, and I was super excited to have everyone all together in the same scene. It was a really fun night, even if it was really freezing.
And shout out to the nuclear family. They were so dope. They're like my favorite. Amazing.
Damaris, we got a couple of tastes of you at the end of last season, but then you're coming in full-fledged, like, you're not just going to be a hologram, you're not going to be taking over characters, you're coming in, but I'm not completely sold on her being all evil.
It's funny you say that because the villain, I think the villain is generally always my favorite character in a lot of movies because there's a reason why that they're a villain. And I'm excited to see, especially what gets picked up for our duality, I would say, especially like with Corey being of the same, I guess, blood or whatever we have on our planet, and but with different abilities. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I'm coming for you.
Will we see what they were as sisters before this whole feast?
I think the good sister, bad sister relationship will have a microscope put on it, and it'll start to reveal complexity that we didn't know about. The wider lens is what an incredible cast, right? Because the stuff that is on the page is what it is, that works doesn't. But our cast went so much. First of all, Ryan and Keegan took so much of love of the
Poco de
books
otra cosa
and
acá en
knowledge of the
esta
books. So
temporada de
coming in, they understand the kind of nuances of these
en
characters
esta
and ways that
temporada
so
de
great for
Titans, la
because
nueva
they bring
temporada.
complexity that
La
sometimes
espero
not
con
having
ganas,
just
como dije anteriormente.
on the page, but it needs a lot of help. And both of them really lifted up. Both of their acting
La 1 y la 2
skills
fueron
and
muy buenas.
skills. A whole lot of work to do.
Espero que la tercera sea mucho mejor.
And Brian, you had that great episode where we're waiting for Connor to wake up, and you got to just do like the day over and over again.
That was a good time. Boris, our last season-long DP, was directing that episode bit, and it was just a really intimate set than what we usually go through. There's usually like 100 people on set, and a lot for those sequences, because we were like changing clothes every 5 minutes and going from one set to another, it was just like an entire day of just goofing off and like just coming up with new ideas, and like there was so much stuff that didn't make it because of how much stuff we actually shot of guarding the Titan Tower.
There's been a change in the relationship between Hank and Dawn. They are now trying to be consciously uncoupled. How are they going to function as exes in this new world?
They asked themselves the question at the end of season 2, once we give it another shot.
You think Hank can leave?
What about Hawk? We answered that question early on, and it definitively.
Is there any job changes that you can talk about?
Yeah, I would say you may see someone in.
Okay, all right.
Doing my squat.
I was going to say, Alan, you might want to start doing some lower body. Okay, since Connor is on the panel here,
I am.
What can you tell us, Greg?
Hey, Greg.
Greg?
What is the question?
Well, I mean, a lot of times if someone's been killed on a show, they don't come back for the panel.
It's true, but there are ways that we can kind of skirt some of the kind of normal life and death rules that are, for those of us who are kind of more, human bound. So we've got some exciting opportunities and stories ahead for
Wonder Girl supuestamente murió.
whole perhaps underworld we may like go into and see what it's like as a transition stage.
DC Comics love the Lazarus Pit.
Yeah, they really do. They really do.
I can have no comment about that.
Okay, well then I want to ask, is the way Donna died going to affect how she might live?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I felt that was a very specific choice to kill her off that one.
Connor, what were you going to say?
Okay, will Blackfire meet the rest of her friends? Because I need to know what she thinks of this group.
Oh yeah, she's gonna have a room in Wayne Manor. Get ready. It's gonna,
No, wait, seriously?
It's gonna mix things up. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
This season, we're gonna bring up a new villain. It's a villain. If you've watched the show, you know that Jason Todd's had a rough run, and he had a falling out with the Titans, and it didn't end well. And even the Titans, as they kind of reunited as a team, were absent one member at the end who rode away on a motorcycle and had a fallout. And there's that African proverb, if something along the lines, the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. And that child comes back in the form of Red Hood.
Oh, genial, Red Hood.
Wow. All right, Karen, how do you feel about that?
All right.
Yeah, I'm very excited, obviously. And I feel some pressure, but I'm ready to take it on 100%. So, and I'm very excited. I've been wanting this for a while now. So
We've got some fan questions, and I want to get to these. Sarah from the USA wants to know, how would you describe the tone of season 3?
I think that in the world we live in right now, especially in the way the Titans can be, where we have beaten ourselves up for our past sins, and it's nice to be liberated. We have a character early on in the form of Dove who's going to kind of point the direction we should go, and it takes us a long time to follow her advice. You know, the big change is our team goes to Gotham, and there's a whole new set of challenges that lie wait for us in Gotham.
Gotham's filled with iconic characters. Who can you tell us that we might meet along the way?
Oh, well, you know, we've got a big one coming up in Dr. Jonathan Crane, also known as Scarecrow.
Yeah.
And we have another, you know, classic character in canon named Barbara Gordon, Commissioner Barbara Gordon. We've got two, you know, the second gen coming up.
Hello.
It was originally Batman and Jim Gordon, and now we have Nightwing and Barbara Gordon trying to kind of deal with the mistakes of their parents, and it turns out a lot more difficult, indeed a lot more difficult than anybody.
And I feel like Gotham is actually where Rachel would really flourish, because it's just so Rachel.
So edgy.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
I feel like a lot of people there have hoods.
Yeah. She could really fly under the radar.
Sarah from Bahrain wants to know, are we going to explore more of Raven's powers?
Her powers
Raven's going to be in a new situation as well. She's going to pull herself away from the Titans, and she's on a mission to kind of understand what her worth is in the world. So many of these characters struggle with questions. Why am I here? Why am I a superhero? What am I doing? What's the point of it? And this is a season that
Disculpe por la interferencia de audio al fondo. Una patada, pero bueno, no importa. Estoy aquí todavía viendo DC FANDOME acá con los Titans. Es una pregunta de los fans.
Well, there's a biological reality here. I don't even know Crypto's gender. Okay? Josh, I'm gonna have to throw that one to you. You're Crypto's.
Well, I can't believe this leaked, but that is a huge plot point of season 3 because they're becoming a dad.
I mean, everyone else has dad problems on this show.
Yeah. Why not Crypto?
Right. Andre Russo wants to know, Brendan, which suit was your favorite to wear, the Robin or the Batman?
It's a lot easier to fight in. It's really more comfortable. It looks cool. We usually shoot in that costume at night, so you know, it lit up. It looks really cool. Yeah, but it's great. I mean, it's something that I look forward to right from the first episode of the first season. So it's, I think we're all, you know, kind of excited to see Nightwing and Dick Grayson coming to his own superhero.
Perfect timing.
Things are getting super ugly out here. I can make fun of my suit. I just did. As you started to put together season 3, you talked about, you know, you built this family out. Is that something that you hope to really dig deeper into? Because sometimes the threat is to like tear them apart more.
We tear them apart a lot, so it's not so much about tearing apart. It's just basically about the struggle to stay together. Great. To do something greater than the sum of its parts. Really, that's where we want to go. Again, it's kind of leaning towards optimism and chance and hope and possibility.
Cannot wait to see what comes up in season 3. I want to thank you all and congratulations on an awesome run so far. Thank you
very much.
Artes y cosplayers de Balandés.
It looks better than I wish I was drawing in real life, to be honest.
The drawing is really, really beautiful. It really is.
You know what I like about it? If you look at the mouths, which is really all, you know, everything's covered in the mask, you know, and you've got your ski goggles on or whatever we call those. There's so much pain in the mouths of these figures. Look at it. Do you see it?
Especially,
so much pain. Capture in like a pencil, whatever medium this was drawn in, like how do you capture that much
Ahora terminé este panel de Titans, haré una pausa y volveré con el envío del panel de Stargirl y Superman y Luisa para cerrar la edición de hoy.
Wow. Hannah from the UK, this cosplay is amazing. The fact that you got as close to this costume as you did, and the amount of work it took for us to get to where we got, and really, this is beautiful. Andrew Hurst from the UK, this is really dope. Thank you so much for making this. I love how powerful and strong she is, and I also love the curls in there. Shout out to Corey, he's the one with the curls. Yeah, I love it. So strong, very good. Thank you so much. Yes, Queen, I love it. I love it. I can't wait to see you. This is so awesome. I love seeing fans of the show dressed up as Corey, and you just nailed it. You look beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I love the little hand fire power action. So good. Chef's kiss. Thank you. Dude, you look exactly like me. How did you do this? That's incredible. How did you do the makeup like that? Like, okay, so season 1, that was all VFX, and like, some people, when everyone turns evil and they made their eyes black and then they put makeup on, it took hours. This is so impressive. Thank you so much for doing this. It's really cool.
Bueno, me despido por ahora. Voy a detener este stream por un minuto o 2 o un minuto. Voy a detener este stream por ahora. Esta transmisión, nos vemos ahora dentro de 10 minutos, más o menos 20 minutos, para lo que va a ser los últimos 2 paneles que podemos presentar hoy de las DC FANDOME. Así que